Okay, we're live? What?
We're live?
What? We're live? We're
We're
talking
live.
Rams?
Can't turn down that opportunity.
No. Hello, everyone. Ramley, Ram fans, NFL fans, whoever's watching, whether you're watching with us live or on the replay. I'm Peyote. I'm with Rams Radar, and I'm joined by none other. Once again, is this third show in a row?
I think so. Third or fourth. I can't remember, honestly.
We're
I
on
don't
the
have the
street.
McVay brain.
Yeah, right. But I'm joined by Rams House. Rams House, are you ready for show number 3?
I am ready.
Okay, sweet. I'm excited. We have a big show. Lots to talk about.
Yeah. That was that game gave us a lot of things to talk about here.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being in the chat tonight too and already engaging. Such awesome people. And I'm sure they're going to give us some insights on the game that we didn't even realize too.
Yeah. No, that's one of my favorite things about doing live streaming is hearing from other people, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the Rams and Niners game a lot. We have thoughts. We got Ramley therapies in session. But before we do, let's do some fun. We, as anyone who's been watching this show since the beginning 3 weeks ago, we have not had a name for this show. We have had many fantastic suggestions for this show, but we are ready to reveal the name of this show that we have decided on. We're going through this, and I'll reveal the name, and then Ramsos, do you maybe want to talk about the name and why we kind of went with this name? Okay, so the name of our show is First Down Rams.
Oh yeah. Shout out. I'd have to go back and check to see who gave this recommendation. So many of you guys gave crazy good suggestions, and that's why it took so long. It's like narrowing down which one worked.
Yeah.
I liked First Down Rams for whoever suggested this because it has a nice ring to it, nice and short. Got different elements in there. Obviously, it's the first down stick, the football, the ram horn in there. And so now we are no longer the nameless Ram show.
No.
We actually have a name now. We have an identity.
Totally. And I love the First Down Rams from like the philosophy of when you're watching a game, anytime your team gets a first down, it's a small win, right? It's maybe not like the touchdown or the game-winning field goal or something, but every time you get that first down, you're like, yeah, first down. All right, cool.
Yeah. And gets the energy going for sure.
Yeah, that's what this show is. Just a constant conversation of first downs, right?
Yeah. So shout out to I'd have to go back and see who suggested it, but whoever did, all of you guys, great suggestions. Thanks for helping us out because we had no idea what to name the show.
Yeah.
And one of you guys helped us give this name. So we appreciate all of your support and your suggestions.
Mm-hmm. And for the record, everyone who suggested a name, we went like back and forth on so many different names. And I think First Down Rams was just the name that kept kind of sticking with us. Where it's like, let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about this game. And we appreciate all of you watching live or on the replay with us, or here in the chat. And we see you. We're frustrated too. We know it was a tough L, but let's start with this. What were your thoughts immediately after watching McVay's press conference yesterday?
I think I was pretty frustrated, as everybody was, and it kind of felt like McVay was one of us, even though he kind of played a hand into losing this game. It felt like he was kind of right with us of being like, we shouldn't have lost this game. What ended up happening there? So I was pretty frustrated because I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. 49ers are one of my least favorite teams in the NFL. It's a true rivalry, and anytime they pack out your stadium, like you want to be able to beat them and make them kind of regret buying those tickets. And not being able to get the win against a bunch of backups in a division game and an opportunity to go up to first in the NFC West for now, I was definitely frustrated.
Yep. Yeah, I appreciated what McVay does. One of my favorite things about him as a coach is he took that L on the chin himself.
Yeah.
Right. And absolutely, there's a lot of criticism that's very valid towards McVay on that loss. And I think if I'm being honest, as I've thought about this, I have one very slim silver lining from that game that I want to share today. When the Rams traded for Matthew Stafford, the main difference and I said this back when they made that trade of Stafford over Jared Goff, is the Rams' margin of error in a game increased dramatically going from Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford. And we saw that on full display last night when the Rams had every opportunity to win that game despite making so many horrible mistakes, right? From block kicks to, fumbles, poor play calling at times. The Rams still had multiple opportunities to win that game. The fact that they took it to overtime is actually impressive. And I think it obviously the loss stings, division rival, the 49ers. And I'm not saying that observation is something that would heal those wounds, but I do appreciate that this is a really talented Rams team. They can definitely, they're going to have to sit with this loss for an extended period of time because it was on Thursday. And I fully expect them to rebound from it. I think that they are a team that responds well. Yeah, it's frustrating. You want that win. You want it so bad, right? We all wanted it, right? Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, the Niners prepared that group of backup players really well for that game. And for whatever reason, when the Niners play the Rams, they decide to play way better than they do against other teams.
Yeah. So, I had flashbacks to that Nick Mullins game.
Yeah. And I would say that one actually stung a little bit more than this one.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I think it's like you got to give your credit to the 49ers and the game plan that they had for this game. It's very impressive, especially given the fact it was a short week. Like, both teams didn't have a lot of time to prepare. The 49ers are going through way more injuries than the Rams are. And so I give them credit for the game plan that they had. But it's also like you also have to look at it like both things can be true of, yeah, they had a great game plan and they executed crazy well given the circumstance they were put in. But I also think that this Rams team, even in the wins that they've had this year, have had a lot of self-inflicted wounds. And last night we saw that with a lot of the miscues that they had, with the Corum fumble on a drive that looked like it was going to score at least a field goal early on, that kind of swung momentum. The Kyren fumble, obviously, when you're about to win the game. You had the blocked kick. You had the missed field goal after a Kyren drop. Like, all these things are things where it's like, yes, the 49ers had a great game plan, but also the Rams kind of got in their own way.
Yeah.
And the fact, like you said, that they still had a chance to win this game, that is definitely a silver lining to take with it. You just hope, and I don't expect it to, you just hope these issues don't continue to kind of pop up throughout the season. And I think the Rams coaching staff is usually pretty good at addressing the things that are going wrong and correcting it. So I think that the fact that the Rams did remain in this game, and in both the losses that they had this year, one to the Eagles and one to the 49ers, like, you could very much argue if they didn't make those mistakes that were self-inflicted, that they could be 5-0.
Yep.
So there's a silver lining. There is frustration. I understand both sides to it. That's just kind of where I sit right now.
Yeah, and to kind of just sit in that frustration a little bit more, the Eagles loss, I remember feeling after that being like, man, the Rams should have won that game. If they win that game, like, think of the narrative within the fan base, within the NFL greater community of like, oh, the Rams beat the Eagles. Like, oh, the Rams they knocked off a team that's been winning a lot. And then if they win this game, it's like, oh man, the Rams, like, they only got that one loss, and it was close to the Eagles. Like, they might be the best team in the NFL, right? But those two losses take the Rams out of that conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Like in the greater media cycle, in the the greater NFL fandom. And as a fan, you want your team to be number one, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting your team to be good. Unfortunately, with these two losses, especially the loss last night, the Rams are still going to have to wear that label as like the punchy dark horse underdog, team from LA. And that's kind of the role that they've had the past 2 seasons, right? And thankfully this year, they're not starting 1-4. They are 3-2 now, and hopefully they can, rebound and win in Baltimore. Even though I am not taking any banged up team for granted, right? Because the Niners players that showed up last night, they didn't care they were second string in that game. They were the first string offense, first string defense, and they came in there and they played a good game to get the win. So I'm definitely still optimistic about the Rams. I think that they had a lot of self-inflicted wounds last night for sure, but hopefully moving forward, as you say, these mistakes they've made are correctable.
And that's the most encouraging thing about it. Like, you can look to position groups that they could get better at and hope that they can address those. A lot of people are talking about cornerbacks, which we'll talk about those in the Over Rams action segment later. But I think that it is encouraging to see, like, the ways that the Rams are falling short right now are definitely on themselves. And it's like, yes, again, the 49ers had a great game plan. They played really well this game, but also the Rams did a lot of things that kind of hurt themselves. And I want to get your opinion on this as well as people in the chat. For me, I was not a big fan of that 4th and 1 call that we had in overtime that ended up losing the game there, with just not only running it there against kind of a heavier box where the 49ers looked like they were expecting it, but as somebody pointed out in my comments last night, they were running it towards the side that Warren McClendon was filling in for Rob Havenstein, and the side where Tyler Higbee isn't right now, who's arguably our best blocker. And so I want to get your thoughts on that, because for me, I look at it and I say the Rams have Matthew Stafford, who in back-to-back weeks is playing at a crazy high level. Like 3 touchdowns the last 2 games, almost 700 yards, if not 700 yards of offense or passing yards with him. You have probably a future Hall of Famer in Devontae Adams, best route runner in the last 10 years. You have Puka Nacua, who right now is playing like the best receiver in football, and you decide to run the football in that situation. I understand if they convert the first down, maybe we're singing a different tune. But for me, I'm like, I kind of want to see something like we did against the Texans, where we had Puka go up through the B gap, looking like he's going to block and then go get the first down. But I don't know. I'm just a fan. What do you think?
I totally agree. I have no issue going for it on 4th down there, because if you take the point, like you take the field goal, you're giving the ball back to the Niners. They can get in field goal range and win the game that way. So you're essentially playing for the tie. I have no issue going for it on 4th down. Absolutely, the play call is the issue here. They ran it towards stinking Fred Warner.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And did you see Fred Warner's post-game press conference?
I didn't have the heart to watch it. No.
I watched it today, and I like listening to Fred Warner talk football, because he's like high IQ guy, right? And he talked about how a reporter kind of asked him about that play, and he talked about how they kind of knew it was going to be a run, because the offensive line was pretty set in stone, like as they're ready to run block. Where if an offensive lineman is playing a little more loose, then it can be kind of confusing of if they're going to run or if they're going to pass. And so that was like a tell, right? So it was interesting to hear that perspective of it, because even I remember I was doing my watch party and watching it, and I remember looking at it and be like, okay, they're going to give it to Kyren here. Like there wasn't a part of me that thought they were going to throw it, even though after they did the play, I was like, why wouldn't you throw it, right? In that situation, I would much rather the ball be in the hands of Stafford, Devontae, Puka, as you say, just given the flow of that game, than the way it kind of all went down.
Yeah, and it's like, I understand, like we're not ever going to be a head coach in the NFL, and we're not going to have to be accountable for those decisions.
Yeah.
But even like McVay himself admitted, like, I did not put our guys in the right situation there with that play call. And I think you're kind of frustrated too, because it's like before that play, there were 2 timeouts called, one from either side. So it's like you have that time to think about your decision and you go there. And I also understand like a little bit where the Rams are coming from, in the sense of Kyren is a very good short yardage situation running back. Like it's almost a guarantee especially on third downs, just to give it to him and let him find the first down. He has great vision, good quickness. But something about the flow of the game, the way the 49ers were playing the run for most of the game, and the way like Matthew Stafford was not going to let the Rams lose that game. It's like that crazy throw to Tutu Atwell there in overtime. All of that, just for me, I'm like, man, I wish he would do it. Like, I think First and Tuna said it, where he said, if Matthew Stafford threw a pick six and that's the way the game ended, I would have been fine with that because Stafford's the one that's like keeping you in this game.
Yeah.
And he's like 50 game winning drives in his career, whatever. So that's definitely where my frustration comes from. I'm sure McVay's already thought about it a billion times about how he wished he passed the football, but I wanted to get your opinion there on that short yardage call.
Yeah. And like you say, I'm sure I love what you said about like McVay in that press conference. He was absolutely one of us, like feeling that fan frustration. And he probably feels it tenfold of like, I messed that up, right? Like he's wearing that to it. It'll be interesting. Something that we want to talk about, and again, love hearing your thoughts in the chat. Thanks everyone for tuning on in. What about Kyren Williams in this game? Because I want to give credit where credit's due. He was like half a yard away from having a third touchdown performance. And if he does that, the narrative of this game with Kyren Williams is very different. We're like, oh, this is one of Kyren's best games of his career, scoring 3 touchdowns. But everyone's talking about that fumble. They're talking about the failed fourth down conversion. What are your thoughts on Kyren Williams in this game?
Yeah, I think it's kind of one of those things for me where it's multiple things are true again. In this case, I understand the people being really frustrated at Kyren Williams just because it's been like fumbling has been his big issue in his career, especially over the last couple of years. And there's never a good time to fumble the football, but it feels like the worst times you could imagine is when Kyren fumbles.
Yeah.
And so I totally understand where fans are coming from in that sense. But I also think you can't overlook what Kyren Williams brings to this football team, and specifically in this game. As you mentioned, he was on his way to 3 touchdowns. The 2 other touchdowns he scored in this game was out of the backfield, like catching a pass and going and scoring. Yeah. He's a great culture guy. I think too many people are getting like way too hard on him, but I can also, like I said, a little bit understand where they're coming from because it's like this has been an issue for him, and it comes up again in one of the biggest moments. So I think it's like I think you still give Kyren Williams time, especially given the fact that he got a new contract. Give him time throughout the season. What if this is the only time that he fumbles in the year? Like, yes, it's going to be terrible. The moment it happened is horrible, but like you can't just assume that this is just going to be what he's like the rest of the year. And that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I think a lot of the same things. Big fan of Kyren Williams, and I think that a lot of people get frustrated with Kyren because they're like, he's not a Saquon Barkley or he's not a Christian McCaffrey or something like that. He is a different style of running back, and what he does very well. You can't help but be frustrated at the fumble, right? The 4th and 1, I definitely put that more on the play call and just the matchup. They're probably the O-line not getting the push that it needs, right? Like to get a yard, you need a push, right? Like that's more than just Kyren not getting a yard. It's the O-line not getting the push, right? Where the fumble at the 1, it's frustrating because the defender made a good play to knock the ball out, but Kyren's got to protect that football in that situation. Like that can't happen, right? And so that I'm probably more frustrated at that because he scores. Like even if he doesn't score, he's just down at the 1 there. Mm-hmm. They could probably get a touchdown there, right? The one thing you can't do is give the ball away.
And I don't know, have we ever seen Kyren Williams fumble inside the 5-yard line before? I don't think that we have. It's usually in a different spot of the field. And that was what was like the most depressing about it, is because you see how close he's getting, like real time as it's playing out.
Yeah.
And it looks like real time he falls into the end zone and scores. And it's like, that's just what Kyren does, especially in that range. And then you see the defense just elated, like jumping around, like pointing the other way. And I'm like, there's no way. Like this just happened. And I give credit to the 49ers and the punch out that he had, like especially that being a rookie. Doing it from behind, I can kind of understand where Kyren's coming from. Like he doesn't even he didn't even see the guy because it came from behind him. But at the same time, it's not like this is the first time he's fumbled, and it's been a bit of an issue. Where I kind of push back for Rams fans, I've seen a lot of people say like it's Blake Corum time, it's Jarquez Hunter time, and it's like, again, this is one mistake in this season, as big as it is. You can't give up on a guy like this. And then even like Blake Corum, you've seen he's not quite ready enough to be like a bell cow running back for the Rams. He's had very good moments, but he fumbled earlier in the game. And even if you take that out of it, he's had like 4 drops the last 2 weeks. And then Jarquez Hunter, I understand the upside with him, the fact that he's a nice, like, quick change of pace kind of running back that the Rams don't have. But, like, do you really expect a rookie who wasn't even drafted in the first couple of rounds to be able to take over that position and do better than what we have? Like, that's kind of where I push back on that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how Kyren and Corum respond next week against the Ravens. A team that has their own injury concerns and a defense that's been struggling. Is this an opportunity? A good win is a great way to get over a bad loss, right?
Yeah. And the good thing is they have an extended week to be able to figure things out here going into this Ravens game. For me, it's like I understand where you're coming from, where earlier you mentioned I understand the Ravens have a backup quarterback, but like I don't want to take anybody lightly after what just happened.
Nope.
I'm with you there, but I'm also like, I kind of feel like that game happened because it's a divisional game. They know us super well. It's more of that kind of thing rather than like if we were playing a backup team outside of the division, I'd be pretty confident that we win that game. But I feel like it being the Niners added an extra layer to it and how much they know us to where it's like, for me, maybe I should be. I'm not as concerned going to the Ravens, especially because like even with Lamar Jackson, they haven't looked all that impressive this season. And especially their defense, no matter how many names they have on that team, I'm looking at that as a really good opportunity for the Rams to get a bounce back.
Yeah.
And what if this is the opportunity that the Rams have to play their first complete game of the season, like the way they were looking against the Eagles in the first half, but do that every quarter?
Yep.
I think that could really build momentum for you there.
Definitely. Want to hear a conspiracy theory?
Ooh, conspiracy time?
Conspiracy time. Okay, everyone listening, watching, don't click off what I'm about to say. Don't unsubscribe. I'm not saying this is true, but as you mentioned, it was a division rival, the 49ers. What's something that can destroy a team's season? A quarterback controversy. Conspiracy theory. Mac Jones had a really good game last night. He did. Brock Purdy had a bad game on Sunday against the Jaguars. I know injuries are a factor, but I'm not saying the Rams let the Niners win. That's not the conspiracy theory here. But if in the like meta of the NFL, like political landscape in the quarterback drama room, Mac Jones playing well, that doesn't hurt the Rams. Like hurts them this game, obviously. But if there's a quarterback controversy in San Francisco the rest of the season, I'd say that goes in the Rams' favor.
I'm definitely not opposed to a controversy here, especially like this would be a completely different thing if the 49ers didn't pay Purdy yet.
Yeah.
Then it would be like, I mean, that would be really interesting still. But the fact that the 49ers like just gave out money to Purdy and this is happening, like I think me and Joe were both saying we would have rather had Purdy play this game heading into it just because of like he's been a little bit more turnover prone and he's been playing like less like on script in the Shanahan offense. So like I wanted to see Purdy because he's had kind of a turnover issue lately.
Yeah.
But Mac Jones right now, like he's just playing with confidence and throwing it to the right guys and his system. Shanahan has a good system. So I mean it's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure.
Well, and honestly, every time they cut to Mac Jones being like held together by duct tape on the sidelines, getting a massage gun, and he's like eating a banana, or he's like drinking electrolytes, and you're just like, that's the dude that's beating us right now, like him and Kendrick Bourne, essentially. Like,
yeah, it was definitely not fun for me. Like looking at it from the defensive perspective from the Rams in this game, I was pretty frustrated just to see like how easily the 49ers were moving on this. Like this reminded me, gave me kind of flashbacks to just like those years where the 49ers beat us like 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
And it felt like the same game plan of like, we're going to run it and then we're going to do these quick passes over the middle and we're going to keep doing that all game. And the Rams, like under Raheem Morris, always having that bend but don't break, like backed off defense, kind of letting that up. That's what it felt like to me in this game, where I was like, this Rams defense has been known to be very exotic and like aggressive, get in your face and kind of force the issue. But in this game, it felt like they were playing very soft and like backed up with their
Yeah.
corners, which was frustrating to me because that kind of played right into the 49ers' hands of kind of letting up that. And I think the Rams defense adjusted when like the third to fourth quarter around that time. They got a couple stops and they were kind of starting to figure things out. But I was confused by that because I was like, under Chris Shula, that hasn't really been our identity to be like, let's just play backed off, like let them have these things. And that frustrated me because this is like a depleted 49ers team. Their receivers aren't like the most elite right now due to injuries. So for me, in my eyes, I was like, why don't you just like get in their face, try to press, throw off the timing? Because it felt like they were doing the same kinds of concepts all game. And it took us a while to adjust. We still had a chance to win this game, and we should have, given the opportunities we had. But like, what's your take on the defense in that regard?
Yeah, it was frustrating. And whenever, not just the Rams, but any team, if your team loses by a large margin, the time of possession, like that, like the Niners had time of possession for over 40 minutes in that game.
Right.
That's so infuriating, right? And that means the defense was gassed. They were on the field like way too much last night.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't getting the pressure on Mac Jones that they needed to. And I think for this defense that's built to generate turnovers, first and foremost, in my opinion, they didn't, like Mac Jones didn't have a lot of throws that you were like, oh, that was like incredible throw, or like he wasn't forced into situations where he had to make a lot of ill-advised throws. And if you want to give credit to Mac Jones, that's probably the best part of his performance last night is he made a lot of smart throws, right? And I think for this Rams defense to really play their best brand of football, they got to get some pressure on the quarterback at some point. And I think, like you said, in the second half, they started to get there, a little bit more. But in the first half, when the Niners were just hogging the ball, this defense absolutely went into that bend but don't break, mindset. And it was just like, oh, look, another third down conversion. Oh, look, a fourth down conversion for the Niners, right? And, it doesn't let the offense really get into a rhythm until late in the game, which I think that kind of hurt the Rams, because especially Stafford. And I almost think maybe it would be better for a game like this, just for the overall vibe. Maybe the Rams should start with the ball first, get in a rhythm, right? Like maybe that's the secret to it. I don't know, but this game really from the first drive had a weird vibe to it. I don't think this Rams team played their best brand of football in this game at all, and I still think their best football is in front of them in the 2025 season.
Yeah, and I give credit again to the 49ers game plan, but I felt like, again, the defense was kind of playing right into their hands and what they wanted to do. And Shanahan even mentioned it in his halftime interview where they were like, what's working well? Like, what do you like? What are you seeing? And he talked about like, we're playing a good Rams offense, and he liked how they only gave us 3 possessions in that first half.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, Rams offense started out slow in the first half. And my pushback to that is they only had 3 drives to work with.
Yeah.
That first drive was uninspiring because it was a 3 and out. And you had the miss to Tutu who was open on that corner route that Stafford had. But after that, Rams offense was moving really well down the field, and then Corum fumbles. Like they were in such a good rhythm. And then that last drive in the first half, they got the touchdown. And so the 49ers did such a good job of possessing the ball. Even I was looking at the post-game stats, and they had 83 plays to R64.
Right.
Like they were just keeping the ball away from the Rams.
Yeah.
And then in a game like that, you can't really make those mistakes of like all the miscues that they had. The Rams had with like the fumbles, the missed field goals, the blocks, which By the way, what are your thoughts on that? Like this whole field goal situation, like what's the answer? Because it's been an issue since the Titans game and we still can't figure it out.
Oh, we're going to talk about this. There's two things that come to mind, in my opinion. Number one, it does seem like Joshua Carty in like his approach when he kicks the ball. Am I crazy? Like, does his kick seem lower than other kickers?
It's hard to tell because I feel like they're disrupting so fast.
Yeah, like I think like that's just kind of I felt like he's a very accurate kicker and when he gets the ball off. But even the kicks that he makes, I'm to the point now where I'm like, that how close is that to getting blocked? Right?
Yeah.
And like all it takes is some fingertips to get on that thing, and it's possibly going to be blocked. The other part is Alex Ward in the interior line on those field goal blocks, and I actually think if the Rams were to make a dramatic move in season, like they've had 4 block kicks, maybe it's time to try looking at some other practice squads, right?
For kickers, you mean?
No. For a long snapper, like
gotcha.
Like interior guards for on field goal kicks. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but McVay, I appreciated his presser today where he said, like, with urgency, he said, we got to crack that. We got to crack that, right? Because you already have 4 block field goals in this season, right? Or 3 extra point.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I don't know. Like we shouldn't be nervous about a point after attempt or any field goal. And that's the thing. It's like when you're playing good teams, like even the 49ers right now, like they're winning games, whatever. But if you're playing good teams or you get into the playoffs or you're expecting to win games and make a push, like you need to be able to have a good kicking game. And what kind of confuses me about this is like Joshua Carty, a lot of this I don't think is on him. Like me, I don't even know. It's hard to tell. I've seen people say that his run up is slow, which gives them time to be able to like make a block. And other people say it's the interior protection. Like there's been a lot of different things with it. But like last year, this was not an issue. I don't even remember a time where the Rams had a field goal blocked last year. And I don't know if it's just something like the Titans put out on tape and then every team's like realizing what they can do. But it's like, I'm not even quite sure exactly what the problem is. My mind wants to say it's the protection, it's the blocking. But it's like, how hard is it to block for a couple seconds to let the kick get off? Like, it's hard to know what the answer is.
And I think that's what I'm most nervous about. Like, if this is truly a huge weakness that's been exposed, yeah, that's going to haunt you all year. Right?
Yeah. You shouldn't have to be worried about like chip shot field goals being blocked. No. And there's been times that the Rams make a field goal or an extra point, and it's like, ooh, man, like that was close. Like that guy almost blocked it. So it's like even on the ones that we're making, it looks close. So I don't know. It's hard to know where to go from here with the kicking game. I'm glad that we have a front office that's aware of these issues and hopefully can address it. It's just like as Rams fans, I think we all expected this to be addressed after that Eagles game, and it popped up again. So,
well, and people, I haven't seen people talk about this much, but like Carty had a bad miss too.
He did,
right? Like, and he makes that, and it's a different game.
It's crazy. So we had that extra point blocked, which obviously, if we had that made, it probably doesn't go into overtime. But that miss, what was so annoying about that one is before that miss happened, that was on that third down that Stafford threw it to Kyren Williams, and he had all the field to run up, and Kyren dropped it. And so at the very least, you're probably going to get a field goal that drive if it doesn't get blocked because you would have at least been on their like 20-yard line.
Yeah.
But instead, because that drop, you have a field goal that's missed. And so that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier of like self-inflicted wounds in this team needing to clean those things up, because if Kyren catches that, you're at least probably getting a lot more favorable of a look than you did.
Yeah. I see Bruce here asking, did all those block kicks come from the left guard spot? I personally have not rewatched them because they're painful to watch. I do think something is up with the mechanics of the snap to the kick, or it is just like a protection issue, as you say. I don't know, Bruce. I don't know.
It's, I feel like a lot of it, where my brain is going of where the issue is coming from, is most likely just the protection. Just given the fact, I think if it was Cardi having a slow run up and kicking, like I've seen a lot of people say, I feel like a good special teams coordinator would have seen that last year and exposed it, but
Right.
the whole year that wasn't an issue. So I think it comes down to more the protection and the blocking, which you'd think would be easier to figure out, but I don't know.
It's something that thankfully they got some days to address it, and I'm sure at the next practice, the field goal unit is going to be doing a lot of practice.
Yeah, they got to figure it out for sure. I mean, like all this special teams talking about the block kicks and the poor operation with that, we're losing the fact that knuckleball is still really like a weapon that Josh Cardi has on kickoffs. To start the game, we almost had the ball in the opening kickoff,
right?
Because of the knuckleball. And I think it's so cool because like the knuckleball is something that teams can't even necessarily practice for coming against the Rams, because no other team is really doing it like this other than I think it's the Panthers.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like, it's cool to have a weapon like that on kickoffs. And it's sad that it's being overshadowed by like poor special teams, like kicking operation stuff, because to have that as a weapon on a kickoff, like there's opportunities to get the ball back.
Yeah. And like, it is frustrating that Cardi had the one kick in overtime that it didn't go in the landing zone. And that is the risk of the knuckleball. And we haven't seen that from him all year outside of, unfortunately, at that O time. Yeah, I still like Joshua Cardi. I do not want a new kicker. I do not want to go back on the kicker carousel, because we all were on that ride a few years ago. None of that. We don't want that.
No. Yeah, I think it's like a little bit too elementary just to look at it being Josh Cardi's fault. Like a lot of people want to get rid of him. I'm like, what's he supposed to do? All he can do is kick the football. Like, yeah, he had that miss from like 50 plus yards out that we talked about, but like he can't really control the blocking that's happening on here. So definitely don't want to go through a kicking carousel, because those are pretty ugly.
Yeah, no, I would much rather we keep developing Joshua Cardi, and if there is to be a move, maybe it's something at the interior, position. But yeah, gotta fix that. You gotta get 4 block field goals in 5 games is just ridiculous.
I tried to research this last night because somebody asked me if that's a record, and I couldn't find the answer of the stat of what team had the most like blocked kicks in a season. For some reason, there's not really much information about that, but it feels like the Rams are on pace to break that record right now, and we got to stop that. So
no kidding, yeah. Appreciate it. We got lots of cool people in the chat. We see the Cowboys fan just subscribed. Thank you, LA Rams. Good to see you. And I see we got some Niners fans in here, and of course we got Beto from Let's Talk Niners. Good to see you.
What's up, Beto? I haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah. I like this comment here by Rams Mob. Ferguson catches the touchdown pass that Parkinson dropped. I think he's referring to a couple weeks ago. But what are your thoughts on Terrence Ferguson getting his first catch that came up at a big moment in this game?
That was exciting. That was like, to catch that on a 3rd and 5, that was his first catch of his career.
Yeah.
And that was not an easy catch. Like, It was a good throw by Stafford for a back shoulder there. But like, I can confidently say this is no shot at any of our other tight ends. I don't think any of our other tight ends catch that. I feel like I've seen that opportunity before, even with Higbee, and most times that's a drop. And for that to be his first opportunity and to make a catch like that, I said this last night, like, Terrence Ferguson is exciting because while we have good depth at the tight end position and they're decent floors right now, they've got good experience in this offense and they're good blockers. I think that Terrence Ferguson is the real like weapon in this offense because he's athletic. He had the 50-50 catch that we saw yesterday. And he had actually pretty good separation on that one off the line.
Yeah.
So if we can get him going, I know that the Rams have talked about how they don't think like Sean McVay and Les Snead have said like he's not quite ready enough to like take over, and he doesn't have to be, but I think he definitely deserves more snaps at this moment. Like give him a little bit more opportunities. I know he's not the best run blocker, but if you can use him kind of like a slot receiver or different looks like that, like I'm down for that.
He has the potential to be a matchup nightmare right now.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where the frustration with Terrence Ferguson has been, where, he's drafted in the second round, and all kind of off season long, we're like, okay, Terrence Ferguson was drafted to help with this red zone efficiency, bring a new weapon dynamic to this Rams offense. And then, we haven't seen him at all, really. And he was in back-to-back games, he was a healthy scratch. And I think he was really only in this game because of an injury. So I was happy for him to get a catch like that. And I'm excited to see more Terrence Ferguson.
Totally. And I think it's kind of funny, like tying in with Tutu Atwell here, because I don't know if you watched Sean McVay's press conference from today, like the Zoom meeting one that they do. He kind of alluded to the fact that Ferguson may get a little bit more looks. Like it was just one of those things. If you watch McVay's press conferences enough, like you kind of know the verbiage he uses in certain scenarios. So I'm excited to see that. And talking about Tutu Atwell here, it felt like after that touchdown against the Colts that he had to really like break the game open and kind of make people be like, oh yeah, Tutu Atwell. Like it kind of feels like McVay was like, oh yeah, I forgot I have Tutu Atwell on this roster, because against the 49ers yesterday, we saw a lot more of him than we did Jordan Whittington.
Yeah.
Like he was putting the offense a lot more. So I'm curious to be like, okay, after that catch that Ferguson had, does that make McVay want to use him more, kind of the way that Tutu Atwell had? I'm curious to see.
And my favorite moments from the Rams offense yesterday were when they were in that rhythm and they were like, oh, we're gonna have like a pass to Jordan Whittington, or we're gonna take a deep shot down the field to Tutu Atwell. Oh, Puka's gonna do his thing. Oh, let's get Devontae Adams involved. Like when the Rams have this arsenal of wide receivers that have a very different skill set across the board, when they can truly run their offense, and that's why I think the Rams' best football is in front of them, because I don't think they've been able to really churn on all cylinders yet.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, even in the wins that they've had, it's not been like, this is the complete game we're looking for. And that's definitely encouraging if you can win games or keep them close. And I understand this 49ers team was a bunch of backups, which is frustrating. But even so, like all the momentum was on their side yesterday, and you still almost came out with the win with all the mistakes you made. There's that, like you said, the best football is in front of the Rams, and you just hope they're able to stay healthy enough, because I think that's the biggest thing that could get in their way. And so far, it hasn't really been an issue.
And if you want to, I was talking about this with another friend of mine. If you want to truly summarize the Rams' issues from last night, it's execution, right?
Right.
Which is correctable. You need good players, you need good coaches to do it. But NFL teams or any sports team that struggles to execute game plans, that struggle, especially in football, to execute their playbook, they're going to lose games. And the Rams struggled a lot last night with execution.
Yeah. And execution is fixable here. Yep. I want to bring up Beto's comment here. Appreciate the respect he's given to Matthew Stafford. Yeah. He says, Matthew Stafford, that dude is amazing. Definitely top 5 quarterback in my opinion. Rams should have put the ball in his hands on the 4th and 1. We talked about that earlier. Definitely agree with you. And the last couple of weeks in particular have been incredible from Matthew Stafford. And I think it's cool to see like him getting a little bit more respect here. I wish we would have won the game, because I think more people would have been talking about the performance he had. But I love seeing this, just given the fact everybody was panicking about the back injury he had coming into the camp. And like people outside of the Rams especially were like, oh, the Rams are in danger. If he takes one hit, the season's over. Rams offensive line hasn't been that great this season. Mm-hmm. And he still hasn't gone down, and he's playing, as Beto says, like a top 5 quarterback. So definitely very thankful to have Matthew Stafford on this team for sure.
Do you ever see the videos that the Rams social media teams post of just Stafford warming up?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's so fun to watch.
Like just watching him spin it in warmups and like regardless of who he's throwing it to, whether it's a teammate or like one of the coaching staff or training staff, I love seeing Matthew Stafford sling it, and I'm so thankful we get to watch it every single Rams game. Gonna treasure it. I know that the day will come he will retire. I'm hoping it's not anytime soon, but if it is, I will always treasure the Matthew Stafford era of the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, that throw he had yesterday to Puka, to Tutu when he spun out.
So good.
That's just insane to be able to like spin out, throw like across the hash to where you came from, right on the money. All the comebacks he's had, all that. Like, I can't say enough good things about Matthew Stafford. I'm so glad he's our quarterback.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Do you want to get into our segments here?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. Are you guys ready in the chat for Over Rams Action Friday? I think they are.
On First Down Rams.
First Down Rams.
Yeah.
Finally have a name. Okay, so we're going to get into our Over Rams Action segment here for today. For those of you who are new, like our Cowboys fan who's in the chat, and even Beto tonight, I think it's the first time he's watched us live here. Over Rams Action Friday is kind of a spin-off of what Rich Eisen does on his show, to where I'm going to pitch some bold takes about the LA Rams, some potentially hot takes, and we're going to ask you guys in the chat. We're going to ask Peo Time here, the co-host, is this an overreaction or an over Rams action, or is it fair? So we got some juicy ones tonight. We've got a lot to talk about here. We're going to start off here. The Rams need to trade for a corner. Is that an over Rams action, or is that fair? What say you?
That's not an over Rams action. I think McVay alluding to it when he was asked by a reporter, it might have been Gary, I'm not sure. But he was asked about if the Rams would make a move at the corner position. They signed, was it Trey Brown? I think. Yeah, they signed him. So that's something to watch. But yeah, I would not be opposed to making a trade. If there's a team out there that is willing to trade a starting caliber corner, I'm up for the Rams making that trade. I said this it's something I've been realizing this entire year. Almost every team in the NFL needs corner help. There's very few teams that have elite secondaries at the corner or safety position. And if you have a good corner, you want to protect, you want to keep them, right? And so I'm not sure there's anyone out there willing to part with a corner, but it's something to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's kind of a lot of layers to this situation. Like, I wish Ahkello Witherspoon didn't suffer the injury that he had, because he actually kind of helped this secondary in this cornerback room work a lot better, because players like Kobe Durant and Emmanuel Forbes were a lot more in their natural position rather than having to be like the guys to lock down. That's just not really their style. So I wish we had Ahkello Witherspoon back sooner.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think the Rams definitely should go out and trade for a corner, especially after yesterday, seeing the game that happened against the 49ers backup receivers and the way that we could not stop Kendrick Bourne to save our life. Right? That was crazy. Nope. But I think the size concerns me for sure. Like, a lot of our cornerbacks are under 6 feet tall, which is something that teams can take advantage of. But I don't think that the Rams Super Bowl hopes are going to be hinging upon them trading for a corner. If they play the style of football that we were advertised that they could play this season, what I mean by that is if their offense can be putting up points, not having those third down inefficiencies, those red zone mistakes where they can't capitalize, or those turnovers that we saw yesterday, if they can be doing that, I think that allows this defense to really take off. And a defense that's built on the pass rush the way that they are, that they're a very aggressive kind of defense, to where that they can kind of play confidently and with the lead. I think the Rams offense at times is underdelivered in putting up points, to the fact where we're relying on our defense more than we should be. So I think if the Rams were able to run this out until Akello comes back in November, December timeframe, you get him back into the fold and you have the offense working at a higher clip like they're supposed to. I don't think your Super Bowl hopes are contingent upon them adding a corner.
Yeah.
But right now, where we're at and the way that the offense is doing good, but there's a lot to be desired still, I think getting a corner would be big for this defense.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And if there's one position that the Rams do trade for, I hope it would be corner or maybe a guard.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to answer Grandizer's question here real quick, or do you want to keep moving and then answer it afterwards?
You know what? Yeah, let's take. We won't maybe get to all three right here at the start here, but yeah, let's take one of them here.
Okay.
Overreaction or underreaction? Should Kyren Williams get benched? If this was Coach Belichick, Kyren would be sitting on the bench by himself. Ooh,
It's a good point about Belichick there. I don't think that he should get benched, to be honest with you. And we talked about it earlier in the show. Like, this is the first fumble of the season. I understand the history he has with fumbles, and fumbling at the time he did was not ideal. But Blake Corum hasn't shown enough to be a guy that you can just rely on. He had a fumble earlier in the game. He's not as good of a receiving back as Kyren is right now, and Jarquez Hunter is a rookie. I think you got to stick with Kyren Williams. If this fumble thing continues to be a thing, I think you can at least consider it a little bit and not let the contract dictate what you're doing. But for me, I would say don't bench Kyren already. No.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's an overreaction, and I'm glad that McVay is not Bill Belichick. He's his own unique coach, and he believes in his players. And so, yeah, no, I'm excited to see Kyren get the opportunity to respond. I know it's tough because he had this criticism last year. It kind of sat with him all off season long, and here it is again this, at the early part of this season. But season's not over yet, and I'm hoping that Kyren Williams bounces back and has a big game next week.
This is actually a good segue here into our next Over Rams action segment here. Kyren Williams' fumble issues is the least of the Rams' worries right now.
Ooh.
And what I mean by that, for those in the chat who could be confused, everybody's focusing on the Kyren Williams fumbles issues, but this is the first fumble he's had of the entire season. It came at the worst time, but this is the first fumble he's had. In my mind, I'm looking at the fact that Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford still have to build their rapport. Their chemistry still isn't quite there. The red zone offense needs to be better at scoring touchdowns. That's been something that's plagued them. They've gotten a lot of threes compared to sevens.
Yep.
And as you guys know, we need to improve the special teams in the field goal operation to where I would say the Kyren Williams fumble issues is the least of the Rams' concerns right now.
This is absolutely not an overreaction. And even you talking about improving the field goal operation, I can't help but be like, we're week 5 into the NFL season and we're worried about our field goal operation, right?
Yeah.
Like Ram fans, when we go up to line for an extra point, there is this little like, please get it, right? Like we have that in there. And so, yeah, I'm actually way more concerned about the field goal operations because especially when you're playing in big games like this, that can be decided by a field goal.
Yeah, totally agree with you there. I think it's kind of sad because this little topic kind of speaks to some of the issues the Rams are working through right now. But at least we've been able to steal some wins out of this, even with issues going on. So, number 3, this is a shout out actually to Nick, who was on Ram Showcase's fan cases this week.
Oh, cool.
And this inspired me for this topic here. It's more important to try to keep Matthew Stafford around for 2 to 3 years than it is for the Rams to be trying to find his replacement.
Ooh.
With the way he's playing, it's more important to try to keep him around than it is to try to look for his replacement.
That's a really good one, Nick. So he's 37 now. So two years if we're including this year, 37, 38, 39. So essentially keeping Stafford till he's 40. I don't know, just given the nature of Stafford's contract situation with the Rams and how it's become year to year, I think as long as Stafford wants to play and it continues to play at a high level like this, the Rams are happy to give him that opportunity, right? Otherwise, they would have tried to, draft, someone in the first round or something like that at some point. I can't help but go back to what Jordan Rodriguez said back at the draft. McVay has never really shown a real passion for finding a young quarterback to develop as a starter. Like, sure, they drafted Stetson Bennett and they've worked with him, but he was kind of always drafted to be Stafford's backup. So, and even in that, like, he has Jimmy G as the Rams backup to Stafford, right? Like, from what we've seen, McVay prefers to work with a veteran quarterback. So I think, say Stafford retires after this season, I don't think it's off the table for the Rams to try and find a veteran quarterback to trade for or sign, right? As opposed to drafting a rookie quarterback. So I actually think this is not an over Rams action, because as long as Stafford sticks around, I think that we stay, this Super Bowl window stays open as long as he's playing at this high level.
That's the thing too. It's crazy with the age that he is. He hasn't shown any signs of dropping off, and it feels like he's almost gotten better compared to where he was in the first year with the Rams. And I think it's definitely important to try to keep this guy around. I think it's hard because Stafford has given way so many times to the Rams, and most recently in this offseason, of taking a lot less money than he was getting offered from other teams to play with us. And he's kind of made his sacrifices to stay with this team, given the fact like he's the last years of his career. He probably wants to play for a contender. And I just don't want it to get to a situation where Stafford wants to keep playing football after the season is done.
Yeah.
And the Rams don't want to give him the money he deserves. And he's like, I've taken a bunch of discounts already. This has already been year to year, and he wants to look for more money. I think a desperate team would be willing to throw a lot of money at him to bring him in. And if he's still playing at the level that he is right now, which I believe he will be by the end of the season, and he wants to keep going, the injuries are really his only concern.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be vital, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, especially given the fact that we have the Falcons first round pick on top of the one we have right now. Like, I don't want to talk about offseason already, but I just thought this was an interesting question.
Yeah, no, that's a great one.
All right, number 4. This is a bold one.
Yeah.
This loss effectively lost the Rams the NFC West title. And I say this because the 49ers have such an easy schedule the rest of the year that, like, you have to be able to beat them in these head-to-head matchups. I just don't see a lot of losses at the end of the year for the 49ers, even like, because they're only going to get healthier, and they're beating the bad teams that they should be beating. So it's early, but what do you think?
I think it's too early. I get why it's one of your takes. You just never know. There's so much football left to be played. Yeah. I mean, the Rams started off 1-4, and if you had told me they were 1-4 that they would win the division last year, I wouldn't have believed you. Like, I was like, okay, maybe they vie for a playoff spot, like a wild card. But the fact that you never know, right? The Niners, they've been playing good football, even though they've been banged up. But you just never know how sustainable that is for the rest of the season, especially if they go into a quarterback controversy that, like if the locker room gets divided, but like, hey, we get Brock's here, but like Mac was playing better. I don't know. So I'm going to say that's an overreaction there.
I agree with you on that take of it. Especially, there's just so much football to be played. The NFL is a strange sport in the fact of, this likely won't happen, but you never know. The Cardinals could, for whatever reason, ascend and be a completely different team second half of the season. You don't expect that to happen. That's not the kind of team they are, but like, so much can change from right now to then. So I agree. I think the Rams made it harder on themselves to win this division, especially just because the 49ers have such an easy schedule.
Yeah.
And I give them credit. They're winning with a lot of injuries, but I wouldn't say that it's decided 49ers winning the West in week 5.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the Rams need to give Terrence Ferguson more snaps.
Yeah, I don't think that's an overreaction at all. Yeah, like and it's always tough because you have to trust that your coaching staff is developing players at the right pace. And I think there was such a high expectation of like, okay, the Rams drafted him in the second round. They said they would have taken him at the 26th pick if they didn't get that trade. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that Terrence Ferguson has a high ceiling. He's definitely, someone that we're going to watch his career, right? Like he's with the Rams for at least 4 years, you'd think. And I would like to see him get some more snaps for sure. And like, as you mentioned before, the Rams have a decent tight end depth, but none of the like Parkinson's or Higbee or Allen, they don't have the ceiling that Terrence Ferguson has.
And they're not nearly as athletic too. It's just like you kind of get starry-eyed looking at an athletic profile tight end like this in a McVay offense. And given his tight end background, the fact he said that he saw a lot of Travis Kelce and Chris Cooley in him, like you can't help but get excited. I understand like his blocking isn't there yet to the spot that the Rams want it to be at, and the injury and training camp played a big factor into this as well. But for me personally, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of run blocking to have a little bit of upside at that tight end position, especially when everybody's honing in on Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, those main guys. To have a weapon like that nobody's really like thinking about as a defensive coordinator in Terrence Ferguson, like I'd be willing to sacrifice a couple run blocks to see what he can do.
Yeah, he could turn into a real chain mover for the Rams.
Yeah, and McVay talked about it too in his Zoom press conference today about like there were even plays that Ferguson was open and had good separation, but the ball went to somebody else, and so he's doing everything he can control right now. He's in on a lot of the passing downs, but I definitely think he should get some more snaps.
Agreed.
Number 6 and our final one. This is another bold one. We saved it for last. The Rams should go for 2 every time they play a good team until they figure out the special teams thing. You got to go for 2.
I hate that this is something I have to think about.
I know, right?
I don't want to be that team. You don't want to be the team that's like, oh, we don't trust our kicker, so we're going to go for 2 every time. Because then it's like, is Joshua Carty just there to kick a knuckleball off kickoffs?
Yeah.
It is an overreaction. You can't be a sustainable NFL team going for 2 every time, right? And the last thing you would want is games that you lose by 1 constantly because you couldn't make an extra point. I say it. I'd much rather the Rams coaching staff fix their field goal kicking operation than come up with some like a whole playbook of 2-point plays.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about, and I kind of look at like if they were to do this, I would want to do it versus teams that's like really good that it's going to be a close game in the sense of like we don't want to risk anything. We're just going to keep our offense out there and do so. I just don't want it to get to that point. But if we see that theme repeated of like we just can't fix the special teams thing, at what point do you look at the offense and be like, we have the guys here, let's just go for 2. If we miss it, that's almost the same thing as getting it blocked again. But I just hope they fix it soon. Rams Mob says, I remember them going for 2 every time when Kai Forbath was the kicker. And we don't want to go back down that kicker carousel. That was the
worst ride ever. As like, you don't want to be on the QB carousel or the kicker carousel. Those are just the worst rides.
Yeah, those are my topics. I mean, I know we got more in the chat here, but that's going to do it for my part of the Over Rams action segment here. Thanks for everybody who played along.
Yeah, I like it. And here we'll take. I don't know if we'll get to them all, but maybe we'll take a bunch of those questions towards the end of the stream. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Are you cool if we get to what's more likely, but it's just the Rams?
I'm so ready. Let's do it.
I'm excited, and guys, we'll go through this, and then we'll get to your comments. And I love that we're getting lots here. This is awesome. Okay. So this is what's more likely, but it's just the Rams. So on this segment, we essentially will it's similar off Rich Eisen's show, but we're just talking about the Rams. I'll give either 2 or 3 scenarios, and then Rams House will give his take. We want to hear yours in the chat. What do you think is more likely of the scenarios to happen? And so with that being said, we're going to have some fun. We're going to get things done here. Let's start off with what's more likely. The rest of the Rams wins this season are won by 13 points or less, or the Rams have one game they win by 20 points or more this year.
That's a good one.
Because the Rams don't blow teams out. That's just
they really don't.
No.
I would say the Rams have a win by 20 points or more.
Okay.
That's just my personal take on it. I feel like we're going to have one of those games where it's like, oh man, like this is like 2017 Rams vibes of beating the Giants 50-10, whatever it was. I would say that. What would you say?
I'll be honest. I think I disagree politely. I think that for whatever reason, every Rams game will always be like 2 scores or less. That like every time they win, they for whatever reason they don't blow teams out. They just don't. Like and I appreciate what Stafford said of like it's the NFL. You're not going to just go and beat up on a team for 4 quarters. I totally get that, but just even in like the way that the Rams manage late game when they have a lead, it doesn't seem like it's something they really prioritize, they really care about, or they necessarily want to do, which I can, respect. But yeah, as nice it would be, I'm of the mindset of this is just a Rams team that always plays close games, and we got to get our defibrillators on standby on Sunday.
It's interesting. Like, I can definitely see that that's the style that the Rams play, but I can't help but look back at that Eagles game with the Rams, even with the mistakes that we were making, like being up 26-7 on them, the Super Bowl champions in the first half. Like, I just see that kind of vision where it's like, there's got to be a game this season where that happens. Like, we put up 50 plus points on the Broncos with Baker Mayfield. Like, I don't know. They do play a lot of close games, but I could see that one where it's just like they just blow up.
I would love to see it. I'm not there. I think after the Titans game, I was like, okay, that's not this Rams team. I've just accepted. Maybe they change and can go into that, but I don't see this team being a team that will ever blow a team out. And they can beat any team in the NFL. They absolutely can. But I don't see them, even teams like when they play the Saints in a couple weeks, I expect that game to be 13 points or less.
That's fair.
And again, a win's a win. Win's a win.
Yeah, they all count the same.
All right, what's more likely? The next time the Rams have a 4th and 1 in the 4th quarter or overtime, what's more likely? They kick, they run, or they pass?
In overtime. It's kind of hard. This is dependent on a situation. I'm just going to say.
I meant it to mirror the situation that they just had last night.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say they pass it,
to
be honest. And maybe that's wishful thinking for me. But in that situation, it's like, I don't think you want to play for the tie or play for like, maybe we give it back to our defense. They get a stop. We go and score quick. You have Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams. I think they'd pass the ball, especially given all the criticism that's received.
Yep. No. Yeah, I'd agree. And especially I feel like the Rams wide receivers have just so many like options that it's tough for defense to defend. So yeah, I think that that's what they'll do. And I kind of wish they would have done that last night.
Yeah, definitely thought about that a lot for sure.
All right, what's more likely? The Rams' Week 18 game against the Cardinals has playoff implications, or the Rams lead the NFL in sacks by the end of the season. They currently are tied with the Broncos with a league 15 sacks on the year.
Oh, that's a hard one. That's one of those things where I want to say both apply in this case, and I know you can't. You got to pick one of them. I would say playoff implications, Week 18, but not in the fact of the Rams need to win that game to make the playoffs. I think more so the fact that the Rams are going to be fighting for some sort of higher seeding.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to be somewhere in the conversation of the top 3 or 4 seeds in the NFL. And I think that it could come down to that week of like last year, it didn't matter for us. We decided to play our backups against the Seahawks and be okay with the fact we may lose the higher seed. But I feel like the Rams could be fighting for a really high seed in this case. So as much as I want to pick the sacks thing, I have to pick one. I think week 18 means something in the playoff implications.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. I think that this NFC West division race is going to come down to the wire, and the fact that it's a division game, even if the Cardinals are in that conversation or not in that conversation, I think that specific game will matter, and because it is week 18, the Rams are going to have to go into it with some playoff implications on the line.
Yeah. That's a good one, though. I did not know which one to pick because I could see both those things happening for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, what's more likely? I like this one. Kyren Williams has a 3-touchdown game in 2025, or Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and one more Rams pass catcher, not Kyren, catch a touchdown pass in a game.
I'm going to say the second one just because McVay loves to pass the ball, and I could see that happening, especially with the tear that Stafford is on right now. I could see a Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams touchdown and throw in Tyler Higbee there, or Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams and Jordan Whittington. Like I could see something like that rather than a 3-touchdown game from Kyren.
Yeah, I think I'm of that mindset just because of the way Stafford's slinging it. Likely it would be Kyren getting a touchdown also in the passing game. I don't know. I really felt for Kyren last night because he was so close to having the story of like Kyren Williams, one of the best games of his career. And unfortunately, because of that fumble, it didn't turn out that way. But anyway, I agree. I think that especially with the way Stafford's been slinging it, I totally could see him having a game where he just like hits 3+ different players for touchdown passes in the game.
Yeah, totally.
All right, what's more likely? The Rams go the rest of the season without a blocked field goal, or the Rams win the rest of their NFC West division games?
Gosh, you have some good ones tonight. This is a hard one. Oh, man. Oh, I haven't seen enough to say that the Rams aren't going to have a field goal blocked the rest of the season.
Wait, while you're thinking about it, one sec. I got a super chat here from 49ers First Take. Thank you, Aaron. That's cool, man.
That's cool. So cool.
Great game to you also, man. Appreciate all that you do. And that's cool of you. Yeah.
I love those respectful 49ers fans. They're like, they stand out. It's like, man, such a nice person. So
Aaron's top tier. Yeah.
What a guy. We love Aaron here. I haven't seen the Rams be able to fix that problem with the blocked kicks. So I would say it's more likely that the Rams win the rest of the. Oh man, that's just a hard one. I don't want to be disrespectful to the division, but it's more so the fact that I'm not confident that. I guess which is harder? Which is harder to fix the field goal issue or to like sweep the rest of your opponents the rest of the way?
Right. That's
why I need help on this one. What do you guys think?
It's frustrating that this is a hard question because you would like it to be the Rams go the rest of the season without a blocked field goal, but they have 4 in 5 games.
I'm going to say it's more likely that they go the rest of the season without a blocked field goal. Just kind of going back to what you were alluding to earlier of McVay being urgent about like this needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen evidence that it's going to be fixed yet, but they've got to fix this. Like this is probably a historic rate.
Yeah.
So I would say that. That's a good one though.
Yeah, when I came up with that one, I was proud of that one. Yeah. I was not generated by AI.
Take that, AI.
Yeah, take that, you bots. Anyway. What's more likely? Terrence Ferguson leads all Rams tight ends in yards by end of season, or Byron Young leads the team in sacks by end of season, because he currently does.
Byron Young leads the team in sacks for me. He's on the field a lot more than Terrence Ferguson is, and this could be like a projection thing of Terrence Ferguson gets more snaps and they can't keep him off the field. To be fair, the Rams don't really have that impressive of a tight end room as far as statistical output right now.
Yeah.
So you could make an argument that it's easier for Ferguson to do what he is, but just given the fact Byron Young's already leading the team in sacks, he's looked a lot better, and he's on a tear right now. Jared Verse is getting the attention, which frees up Byron Young. I'm going to say Byron Young leads the team in sacks, and he won't have to shave his beard, if you guys understand that reference.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the only way Byron Young doesn't lead the team in sacks this year is if Jared Verse has a couple of games where he just has like 4 or 5 sacks in a game,
True.
Which he has the potential to do, especially when they go against some of these teams that don't necessarily have the best O-lines and tackles. So, yeah, I agree with you. I don't know. I do think there is a potential, though, if Terrence Ferguson can kind of be that late bloomer in his rookie season, it's not crazy to think he would lead all Rams tight ends in yards.
Definitely not. And that's definitely a good question there in that sense of it, because, again, I'm actually going to look this up. I don't know who has the most receiving yards at tight end for the Rams this year, but I don't think it'd be that many.
Allen.
Let me take a look at this.
Like, I know Davis Allen has the 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I'm curious.
Let's see. Oh, I guess I should put this season because it's bringing up Tyler Higbee for his career.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tyler Higbee is leading the Rams in receiving yards at tight end with only 62 yards.
Okay.
So, like, this is achievable for Ferguson. He just needs to be out there more.
Because, well, he got like 21 on his 1 catch. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a chance.
Yeah, he's already a third there.
Man, that speaks to the tight end room this year.
Right? All right, I got one more. This is a fun one. What's more likely? The Rams make a trade of some kind before the deadline, or both our channels combined gain 1,000 subscribers before the trade deadline. Shout out if you're watching, like and subscribe.
That's it. I like what you did there. This is like my favorite one so far. I would say the Rams make some sort of trade before the deadline. I'm very confident that the Rams are going to make a trade before the deadline. And I don't know what, like, everybody's probably going to say cornerback there, but like, I'm pretty confident that they're going to make some sort of move this year. And the last time we made a trade at the deadline or before the deadline, I don't even remember what year that was. Was that because we didn't do anything 22? I know that for sure. It may have been 2021 that was the last time the Rams made a trade before the deadline. So I'm going to say that.
I'm trying to think in season. I know, like, there's the Kevin Dotson trade right before the season started.
But I'm thinking like mid-season kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any since the 2021 season. Yeah,
which is crazy. Everybody always talks about like the F them picks kind of thing.
Yeah,
and so yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that the Rams are going to make a trade.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is. I'd assume it's at the cornerback position, but I feel like this is a year where they're like, it's not like they're going all in, mortgaging the future like everybody was saying before. Like they still have a future past this year, but they also can use some of the capital that they have to make a move, and I think that they will.
Yeah. No, I 100% concur. Yeah. Even though I don't think it's crazy for both our channels combined to gain 1,000 subscribers for the trade deadline. Just saying.
That's true. That's true. We got great supporters here.
Yeah. Well, and again, if the Rams keep losing, our views keep going up. So
yeah, that's true.
Okay, that is the end of what's more likely, but it's just the Rams. Thanks for playing along, everyone. That was a lot of fun. We got some good questions from you guys in the chat. I'm going to keep going for a couple more minutes here. You want to rapid fire some of these?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. We'll switch between here. So we'll go Grandizer first, then we'll do Rams Mob. Okay, so Grandizer, overreaction or underreaction? Is Puka targeted way too much or not enough? And why does Stafford target him so much? Everyone else can't be covered nearly as much, right? Well, let's answer the first part. The reason why Stafford targets him so much is because he catches the ball and he gets open. Like he's like 7'11", always open. But yeah, what do you think?
I think that the Rams can do a better job of distributing the football around to different weapons. I think they did a good job about that this week against the 49ers, like getting a lot of different guys involved. Um, I have a hard time arguing don't throw the ball to Puka Nacua if he's open just for the sake of spreading the ball around. But I think there's a balance of this. Like you don't want to give Puka too many touches and have him get hurt or have a defense. But like at the same time, if he's open, like get him the ball. So I think maybe concept wise, the Rams can do a better job of having a different guy be like a primary read. But again, it's hard to argue with the fact like you have such a good receiver right now. This is kind of like 2021 Cooper Kupp, where it's like he's just always open. Like, why not get him the ball?
Yeah, no, he's just playing at such a high level. Absolutely. Rams mob here. This next one, Emmanuel Forbes needs to be benched over a Rams action. Love that you're using our terminology.
Ooh.
Rams mob.
Yeah, he's caught on here.
Yeah, he knows what's up. He's a moderator.
He is.
I'm going to say that's an over Rams action just because of the personnel the Rams currently have. I don't see a better option than Emmanuel Forbes.
Right.
I also think, and I stand by this, the more and more I learn about football, cornerback is the easiest position to look silly in, right?
Yeah.
You could play an amazing game and like not let up a single play except for like one big play in the fourth quarter that was you cost your team the game because you messed up that one time. And so like when corners make mistakes, it's so much more noticeable than almost any other position, right?
Yeah.
And even maybe you play good coverage, but the receiver just makes a ridiculous catch and like you can't guard that, right? So I think that you got to stick with Emmanuel Forbes given the Ahkello Witherspoon injury, and just I don't see a lot of other teams willing to trade their corners. So unless you find someone off a practice squad.
I feel like there's going to be an option available to trade for a corner, especially with like the Browns, maybe with Denzel Ward or
True.
I wouldn't see Sauce Gardner, but like you look to those bottom dweller kind of teams where it could happen. But I'm in agreement in the fact, like, yeah, you could bench him, but like, who else could you play there? Like, we don't even have Darion Kendrick anymore. I don't think you really see the position improve, and that's unfortunate. But just hope to get Ahkello Witherspoon back as soon as we can.
Yep. That's a good segue to Grandizer's next question. What three corners would you both wish the Rams would trade for, and why, and what would you give up? I'm not giving up either of the first round picks. I think that you got to keep those strategically for the Rams' possible quarterback coming in the future. I don't know. What do you have names that come to mind for you?
Yeah, it's hard if he's talking about realistic corners that we could trade for and not just pipe dreams. Like for me, I would personally love the Steelers just to like completely bomb their season and Jalen Ramsey becomes available. Like just because he's my favorite player the Rams have ever had. Sure. I would love Jalen Ramsey. That's probably not the most realistic thing though. I talked about him earlier. Denzel Ward from the Browns, I think would be a really good add. Very good cover corner. He's still pretty young. He does have a big contract, but I think if you really need somebody, you can make that work, like the salary cap gymnastic stuff. As far as like what I'm willing to give up, I think at the highest I'd be willing to give up one of our first round picks. But that's if the case of like this cornerback room is becoming such a liability that we can't win games. If it's like we pick up where we left off when Witherspoon came back, and it's like, yeah, they don't have the best cornerbacks in the world, but they're getting the job done. They're doing decent enough. I think that's kind of what it depends on there. So Denzel Ward, I would circle. At most, I'd give up one first-round pick. I wouldn't want to, and I would only do that if it's like you really feel like the Rams need to make this move to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I'm going to toss out the name J.C. Horn from the Panthers.
That would be fun.
That's essentially trading for a prime Jalen Ramsey like the Rams did back in the day of like this corner, he's on a bad team. Maybe.
We have a connection with Ajero Evero, who used to be a defensive guy for the Rams,
Fair.
their defensive coordinator. So
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be interesting to track. I think the Rams are going to make some sort of move at the deadline, but we'll see what happens.
Definitely. I gotta give a shout out here, Steven Evans becoming a new member. Appreciate you, Steven.
Wow.
Thank you.
Let's go, Steven.
Yeah, that's awesome. Appreciate the support of it. Yeah, just doing that. That's so cool. We got 2 more here, and then we'll call it a show. Rams shouldn't extend Steve Avila over Rams action.
That's one I've actually been thinking about a lot. Not just because of the fact that like he's been quote unquote like healthy and dressed to play, and it's been Didic playing for him. Like even before this, I think the biggest thing with Avila that he's had the last couple of years is just health issues and staying healthy. And you can be a great player, but if you can't stay healthy, like the Rams making decisions like keeping Steve Avila is going to make you lose out on extending a guy like Quentin Lake or Byron Young. It's like you have to make your decisions very carefully. For me, if this was Avila's contract year, I don't know if I would extend him. And that's sad because I love him as a player, but it's like from what we've seen so far in the health issues, I don't know if you can justify doing that when you know full well that you're going to lose out on a couple of guys that you want to keep around.
And it's tough because when he's in there, I think he's one of the best, like, kind of mauling offensive linemen that the Rams have, like, to really get the run game going. But yeah, the health issues are definitely the concern. You know, you got to have, you know, the best abilities availability, as they say. So I don't think that's an over Rams action, but I do think he can save his career if he can, you know, play some good football. But right now he just hasn't been able to because he hasn't been on the field.
And the good thing for him is like he still has the rest of this year.
Yeah.
And he still has next year to be able to play before the Rams have to think about an extension. So he has time. I think it would be kind of scary for his future with the Rams if this was his contract year and it's like, man, he's just not staying healthy. So he has time to be able to rewrite the story. And I think, like you said, when he's in there, he's a good mauling kind of guy. Very like he's actually very popular among the Rams fan base, like at training camp and stuff, very recognizable. So I love the person, love the player. It's just like, how much can you count on him staying healthy?
Totally. Yeah. And the Rams have been burned by offensive line contracts in recent history, right? Like you think of the Joseph Noteboom situation.
Jonah Jackson.
So it's stuff to consider for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question of the night from Grandizer. Question, but why is that the Rams can't seem to blow out teams? Do they play down to their level of their competition? Ooh, good question.
I think part of it is the play style that the Rams have.
Yeah,
they don't feel like they need to blow teams out to be able to make statements and win games, and that's just kind of the style of their team. But on top of that, I think for this season in particular, it feels a lot more like the Rams are leaving points on the field because of misexecution issues and things like against the Titans. I can even think of like we pulled away late that we did really good on, but the Eagles in that game, we had so many opportunities to get touchdowns that we ended up having to settle for 3 because we had the Coleman Shelton holding call on there when Kyren Williams had a touchdown run. We ended up getting 3. We had a Devontae Adams slant route that was wide open. Stafford just missed. So I think it's a blend of like it's their play style, but on top of that, I think there's a lot of points left on the board just due to early season misexecutions.
Yeah. I'm going to give an analogy for this. I think that it's a football philosophy of the Rams and especially McVay. And so part of my illustration, I'm a big theme park guy. I love going to Disney, Universal, stuff like that. So when you go to Disney allows you to take out your phone on most of their rides. Like obviously not the coasters and stuff, but like you can look around and they say like they encourage you, post it to social media, things like that. when you go to Universal, they say no phones. Like they'll have someone over a speaker be like, no recording, right? Even if it's like a slow ride, right? They don't like that. I think the Rams, they don't like to show much on tape, right? They'd be much more content, get a certain amount lead, and then bleed the clock. Just play that drain game. Don't put your entire offense on display for future opponents, so that late in the year you have those those wrinkles that you can just kind of spread into the football ethos. And so that's, I don't think it is playing down to their competition this year. That has been an issue for the Rams in the past, definitely. But I do think the Rams, for whatever reason, just they don't have that desire to be like, all right, put the nail in the coffin, let's win this game, go up by 3 scores and just dominate, right?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a philosophy thing. I think it's a blend of both of those kinds of things, but either way, I do expect it to get better, and I do expect them to put up more points. And like I was talking about earlier, I do see a 20-point victory happening at some point in the season. So
I hope you're right. I'll admit I've just accepted that every Sunday I have to have a defibrillator on standby. And you know what? As long as the Rams win, I'm okay with it.
I should probably invest in a defibrillator because I've had a lot of moments where I could have a heart attack. Like, I think that would be a smart investment to make. I've put it off, but hopefully the Rams don't give us a lot of reasons to be on those nervous games.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out with us. It's been a lot of fun. Another great Friday show. Rams House, it's always a pleasure talking football with you.
Yeah, always a pleasure talking with you. Glad we have a name.
Yeah.
Glad we have an identity. We got a logo now. Thanks to everybody who was in the chat tonight. You guys were lighting it up. You guys were doing awesome. You guys are one of the reasons that this show goes, and you guys help to lead the show. And so I appreciate all of you guys who show up every Friday night and just give your thoughts, give your opinions, because at the end of the day, it's just fun hanging out talking Rams.
Yeah, absolutely. You got anything? I know both of us will have some shorts coming out from this live stream, but do you got any content coming out the next couple? Are you doing anything on Sunday or?
Yeah, that's to be determined. I'm kind of working on a video right now to try to get posted out. You can guarantee for sure that this week I will be doing a Rams-Ravens preview. That should come out on Tuesday. That'll be the solo preview, and I'm aiming for Wednesday to have Engraven from Engraven Vids, the Ravens content creator.
No way!
Ravens. So that should be fun.
So cool. Oh man, Engraven's awesome. That's all. I'll be watching that. I'll have a great time with that collab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna stream a game on Sunday. I'm not sure which one yet. I'll probably post to my community tab and
Falcons?
Maybe. I'm gonna let people decide. I'm gonna pick 4 games that I'm interested in, and then from those 4, let people decide. And then I'm not ready to say what. I do have a project I'm working on though that I'm pretty excited about, and I'm hoping next Wednesday to release it.
That's exciting. That's a teaser for me. I'm not going to be able to sleep anymore. I'm going to be like, when's this video? So I'll be on the lookout for that.
Very cool. All right. Well, everyone, thanks so much for watching. We will see you all in the internet. As always, go Rams, horns up and peace out. And as Ramhouse says,
horns up and God bless.
First down. We got to come up with a good outro for first down Rams.
We do. We'll get. I mean, we got a logo. We'll start there. We'll get it next week.
Yeah, and an extra.
Outro. Yeah.
Outro. That's what extra. Oh man. Have a good night, everybody.
See you guys.